Today's subject is a man whose voice launched a genre, whose scandals rewrote the rules of fame, and whose name became synonymous with heavy metal, Ozzy Osbourne. He bit the heads off bats, survived decades of addiction, and became both a godfather of rock and a walking tabloid headline. This is the story of Ozzy Osbourne and what happened to each of his children. Aimee Osbourne, the daughter who walked away. She was born on September 2, 1983 in London, not long after her father Ozzy had launched his solo career and her mother Sharon had taken over as his manager. While the press celebrated their chaotic romance and rising empire, their first child arrived in a house not yet wired for cameras, not yet built on branding. Aimee Rachel Osbourne was quiet, sharp, observant, and by the late 1990s, as her father spiraled in and out of rehab and her siblings were entering adolescence, she had already started pulling back in 2001. When MTV proposed turning the Osbournes' real life into a reality series, Aimee, just 16 at the time, made a decision that would define her legacy. She refused to sign, refused to perform, and then, quietly, she moved out. She would not be part of the show. While the Osbournes premiered in March 2002 and became an instant cultural phenomenon, Aimee was already gone physically and narratively. For years, she remained a ghost in the family mythos. Public curiosity burned. Where's the eldest daughter? But there were no clips, no confessionals, no scandals. In 2010, she gave a rare interview confirming the obvious. She wanted privacy and had no regrets leaving the show. She stayed in Los Angeles but out of sight, pursuing music behind closed doors. Then in 2015, she re-emerged under the stage name ARO with her debut single Raining Gold, a dark, synth-heavy ballad that stunned critics and racked up millions of YouTube views. Her sound evoked Portishead and Massive Attack more than anything in her father's catalog. It wasn't a debut, it was a declaration. That same year, she explained in interviews that she never wanted to trade authenticity for attention. I grew up around all of that, and I saw what it did. In 2020, she released Shared Something with the Night, her first EP, moody, atmospheric, completely her own through the years. Aimee's relationship with the rest of the family shifted, but never disappeared. She remained close to Sharon, albeit on quieter terms. Her dynamic with Kelly remained strained, shaped by differences in temperament and lifestyle. She appeared only in private, never at events, rarely in photos. But when Ozzy publicly revealed his Parkinson's diagnosis in 2020, Aimee was there behind the scenes, offering support without spotlight. In 2022, when a fire broke out at Ozzy and Sharon's Los Angeles home, Aimee and her producer were inside a nearby recording studio. She survived, but her creative partner tragically did not. The tragedy barely made headlines, buried beneath Kardashian drama and rock gossip. But for Aimee, it was another reminder. Real pain is never televised today. She lives between worlds, still recording music under ARO, still avoiding the family brand. She never cashed in on the Osbourne name, never sold a memoir, never played the nostalgia game. While Jack built a paranormal empire and Kelly embraced daytime TV, Aimee remained the enigma, the firstborn, the forgotten one, the woman who saw what fame would do to her family and chose at 16 to walk away not in defiance, but in foresight. Kelly Osbourne, the heiress who broke and rebuilt herself. Kelly Michelle Lee. Osbourne was born on October 27, 1984, into a family that was already living off the edge. Her father, Ozzy, had just returned from another near-fatal overdose. Her mother, Sharon, was no longer just a wife, she was building a business. From the beginning, Kelly was loud, unfiltered, and painfully visible. When MTV launched the Osbournes in March 2002, Kelly was 17 and still figuring out who she was, and the world was handed a front-row seat. She became an instant phenomenon, the sarcastic daughter with dyed hair, and a mouth too quick for prime time. But what audiences called attitude was often camouflage. Barely a year later, in April 2003, she checked into rehab for an opioid addiction she had hidden beneath the eyeliner. and outbursts. At 18, she was collapsing under the very spotlight that made her famous. In 2005, Kelly released Sleeping in the Nothing, her second album. It was darker, more synthetic, a departure from her pop-punk debut. While critics were mixed, it signaled something deeper. She wanted to be taken seriously, not just consumed, but fame was unforgiving. That same year, she relapsed and entered rehab again. Between 2006 and 2009, her public life became a blur of rumors, recovery, and reinvention. She was mocked for her weight, targeted for her appearance, and dismissed as the problem child of reality TV, but she didn't disappear. She fought her way back into relevance not through scandal, but through evolution. In 2009, she joined Dancing with the Stars and stunned critics by reaching the finals, shedding both pounds and assumptions. She was no longer just Ozzy's daughter, she was Kelly, a competitor, a survivor. From 2010 to 2015, she became a household name again, this time as a co-host on E's Fashion Police. The girl once ridiculed for her look was now judging the red carpet not with cruelty, but wit. She transformed into a fashion icon, known for her lavender hair and unapologetic commentary. Along the way, she earned her stripes, Emmy nominations, brand deals, and regular appearances on major networks. But the voice behind the makeup had matured. She spoke publicly about mental health, addiction, and the damage of early fame. In 2017, her memoir, There Is No Fucking Secret, laid bare the trauma beneath the glam, the relapses, the body image battles, the pressure to perform. It wasn't just a celebrity confession, it was a reclamation. When Ozzy revealed his Parkinson's diagnosis in 2020, Kelly stepped up not as a brand rep, but as a daughter. She became his informal spokesperson, managing press and shielding him from invasive coverage. In 2022, she quietly announced she was expecting her first child with Sid Wilson of Slipknot. The media braced for chaos. Instead, she disappeared. No drama, no show, just a birth in silence. After 2 decades of being dissected, Kelly was finally building something private. Her son was born later that year. No magazine cover, no camera crew, just a woman who had grown into her last name without letting it define her. Kelly Osbourne lived every chapter in public, the rise, the fall, the backlash, the reinvention, but she never gave up the mic. She stayed long enough to outlive the narrative they wrote for her, and for once, she got to write the ending, Jack Osbourne, the son who learned to see in the dark. Joseph Osbourne was born on November 8, 1985, just as his father's solo career was burning bright and his mother was solidifying her grip on the Osbourne empire. He was the youngest, the most impressionable, and the least prepared for what was coming. When the Osbournes exploded on MTV in 2002, Jack was only 16, a teenager still trying to understand himself, suddenly broadcast to millions. The world watched him curse, rebel, joke, lash out, and spiral. And by April 2003, just 1 season into fame, he overdosed on OxyContin and checked himself into rehab. He was 17, alone in the chaos, and the public collapse had only just begun. But unlike others who drowned in early stardom, Jack took the hit and started the climb. Over the next decade, Jack fought to redefine himself. He returned to rehab in 2004, began training in martial arts, and slowly distanced himself from the drug-fueled caricature MTV had made famous. In 2005, he appeared in the British documentary Jack Osbourne, Adrenaline Junkie, where he scaled glaciers, trained in Thai boxing, and completed grueling endurance challenges. It wasn't just entertainment, it was therapy disguised as TV. Between 2006 and 2011, he turned himself into a producer and adventurer, hosting shows about danger, risk, and recovery. But the biggest twist came off camera. In 2012, Jack was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, a chronic degenerative disease that strikes young and stays forever. He revealed it publicly in June that year, calm and measured, vowing to fight. That same year, he married actress Lisa Stelly, and became a father to three daughters in 2012, 2015, and 2018. While tabloids expected collapse, Jack delivered content. In 2014, he launched Haunted Highway on Sci-Fi, followed by the hit series Portals to Hell in 2019, a show that blended paranormal mystery with journalistic edge. By the 2020s, Jack had carved out a distinct niche, the Osbourne who chased ghosts but stayed grounded. He co-hosted The Osbournes Wanna Believe with Sharon and Ozzy, bringing the family dynamic back without glamorizing dysfunction. Fans saw not the addict or the punchline, but a man quietly mastering balance, raising daughters, managing MS, and working steadily after divorcing Stelly in 2019. He stayed involved in his children's lives and kept his personal battles off the headlines. In December 2021, he announced his engagement to fashion designer Ari Gearhart, and by mid-2022, they welcomed his fourth child, another daughter. No spectacle, no press storm, just a photo, a caption, and a soft ending to a chapter once written in chaos. By 2025, Jack Osbourne is more than just the youngest son of metal royalty. He is a successful producer, podcast host, and leading figure in the paranormal entertainment space, with shows syndicated on Travel Channel, Discovery Plus, and YouTube. He remains a dedicated MS advocate, often speaking at events and using his platform to normalize invisible illness. He trains in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, appears on health panels, and balances life between fatherhood, media, and healing. Among all of Ozzy's children, Jack is the one who never disappeared, never overreacted, never demanded to be understood. He just kept showing up, quieter, stronger, clearer. He was the Osbourne who fell the hardest, but unlike the rest, he learned how to see in the dark and walk straight through it. One father, six children. Some rebuilt themselves piece by piece in full public view. They didn't all chase the spotlight, but none of them escaped its glare. One walked away before it began. One stayed and shattered. One became the quiet anchor, and others were forgotten entirely, not by blood, but by the camera. If you found this breakdown powerful and want more deep dives into the hidden lives of Hollywood's forgotten children, subscribe to After the Fame. Your support brings these invisible stories to light. Thanks for listening.